Hi, and welcome to my book recommendations for Autumn/Winter 2023. I'm Ruth Richards, creator of The Intuition Connection, author of Reclaim Your Intuition. I teach people how to connect to their intuition, how to reclaim it, and I also show people things they cannot perceive for themselves with my intuitive ability. I love reading. I'm a big reader. I always have been from a child. Books were encouraged in my house, went to the library every week. So I've got 3 books I'm recommending to you for autumn and winter that are quite thick books, take a bit of reading. So if during autumn and winter you like to snuggle up on the cold nights on the sofa with a blanket and a hot drink and a good book, stay tuned and see if one of these books is for you. Thanks for watching. My first book recommendation is The Wisdom of Menopause by Christiane Northrup, MD. In fact, any book by Christiane is well worth buying and reading. I love this book for 2 reasons. First of all, it gives a very simple, straightforward explanation of what physically and biologically happens to the functions in our body and our brain at perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. And that's really important to know because we didn't get taught that in biology class, and my generation of parents certainly didn't know that. The other thing as well is she has this medical background, but she also moved into more spiritual healing for women. So looking holistically, not just at what's going on physically and biologically in the body, but the environment, what's going on in life. And that's what I love about this book. It's not just about what's happening on a hormonal basis. It's about how the environment you're in impacts what happens to you at menopause. And it's a wonderful book. Now, when I first started looking into what was going to happen to me when menopause happened, I read lots of books and every book was absolutely negative. There was one book I didn't finish because the first chapter was such a horrific story of what this woman went through that I thought, surely this can't happen to all of us. Unfortunately, I found this. It's a big book to read through, but it's absolutely worth it. It's one of those you can dip in and out of. She also talks about the various treatments available, because menopause is not an illness, but some women do need hormonal support during that time. What is available as a medicine to kind of help with that as well. But it does have this holistic spiritual view to it as well, which I absolutely love. So that's my first recommendation. My second book recommendation is Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Now, similar to what I said about Christiane Northrup, any book by Dr. Joe is definitely well worth reading. I've specifically chosen this one because I love spirituality. I love a holistic life, how we live spiritually on an earthly planet and vice versa. And this is one of the very first books I read that combined science and spirituality, for me anyway. And I also love a bit of science, love a bit of quantum physics, the quantum field. I love how quantum science is kind of coming together with thoughts and concepts of spirituality. But this, if you're not a scientist, how do you prove that? Well, Dr. Joe has done some of that for us, and this is the most wonderful book. So it talks about how we can heal ourselves. And it is feasible and it is possible, and there is research in here that proves that. So if you're like me and you do love a bit of science, you love a little chart, you love to see that science has proved something that you thought inherently that you knew, this book can do that for you. Oh, I highlight everything. But look, graphs and charts. So how do we heal ourselves? Well, I'm not going to give it away, but it has a lot to do with knowing our inner self, being able to tap into a certain type of brainwave that takes us to somewhere that's deep in the ethers that we haven't been before. And he can help us do that. So if you're looking for a different healing path, if you believe there's something more than through traditional method of healing that we know about and deal with in the West, and you love a bit of spirituality and science, this could well be for you. Fantastic book, thoroughly recommend it. My third book choice is In Defence of Witches: Why Women Are Still on Trial by Myrna Chollet. She is a French journalist and broadcaster, so this book has been translated, but it's beautifully translated. Why women are still on trial? Well, at the time of recording this, there have been reports in the UK of women who have alleged harassment, and other women have seen the attitudes and behaviours towards them. Why in 2023 are women still not taken seriously? Why do we not have equality? And one of the things I talk about in my teaching, and what I often see for people who I read for and show them their connection to the otherworldly with, is women have this ancestral history of witch trials and witch hunts. It was mass murder. It was for no good reason. And that lives within our history. It lives within our ancestral history. Of some women, it's in your DNA because this may have happened to people who were in your family in the past. And women are still on trial. We are treated differently. We're not allowed to be who we are. We're not allowed to be intuitive in the world. And this book is very wonderful because it's from a very, I want to say academic in a really good way approach. She talks about how women have been treated through history, and very recent history as well. So the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, as well as what happened in the witch trials around Europe and in North America. Now, I'm aware of the history in the UK for what happened to women, and we're all aware of the witch trials and the witch hunts in Salem in North America, but I didn't know the European history. So I love this book for two reasons. It empowers women, it tells us more about our history and how we've got to the attitudes and behaviours towards women that we have today. And it's just a really good read. And how do we improve the world is in this book as well for women. So beautiful read, In Defence of Witches, thoroughly recommended. Thanks for watching this video. Those are my 3 recommendations for some autumn winter reading for you. Now, if you can, and you're going to buy one or all of these books, do have a look at www.bookshop.org. It supports independent booksellers. I know there's a big one out there who can deliver to you next day, and you absolutely get to choose that, and that may be absolutely right for you. I'm not saying it isn't. I just want to make you aware that you have choices when it comes to buying your books online. But maybe like me, you love to go to a bookstore and have a good route around, and maybe you have a local independent bookstore that can order that book for you as well. So thanks for watching. Happy reading. Bye.